The presidential library for George W. Bush is projected to cost $500 million.
The irony.
You know, that is twice as much as what his 2004 re-election campaign cost, which I find to be stunning, that they put more value on the library than they do on the re-election. But, of course, it also has to do with they don't have to follow the election laws for how much you can collect. So they're counting on mega donors, and they admit some of them, the donors they're going to rely on are wealthy heiresses, Arab nations, and I love this one, captains of industry.
This is a library, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abu Ghraib.
He's the most expensive presidential library by a guy who can't speak, who I believe, nonsense, I don't care what they say, I don't believe has ever read a book. Mm-hmm. Any book at all. I know they're big. Now this is the big tough interview question for President Bush has become, what do you read?
Like he doesn't have that prepared. Right. Yeah. Ask him something about the book. Let's see if he gets that right. But, of course, they would never do that because he was unacceptably rude.
I wonder if they'll have great Bush speeches.
I send up my budget man to the Congress.
I wonder if that'll be in the presidential library.
Yeah.
So now you say, why?
Bill Clinton's library was $165 million. Mm-hmm. I don't have any of the other figures here, but you know, at the time, Ronald Reagan's was the biggest presidential library, and then Bill Clinton beat it, but now Reagan has beat it back because they've opened up a whole new wing. $500 million. Why is it going to cost $500 million? It's got just have a whole giant wing just for lies.
See, this just screams insecurity about his intelligence level. I think what they want is for his legacy not for him to be the dumbest president that we've had in history, so they're going to try and throw this giant, magnificent library up. It's like a guy with a really small penis driving a Porsche.
You're working hard to put food on your family.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do know what you mean, but Jill, actually, you're even more right, because it's not just an image they want to project. It's here's a quote: "The more you have, the more influence on history you can exert." They want to do a revisionist. Oh, you see, actually, George Bush was a great president, and they need a lot of money to do that. You might think, how are they going to do that with a library? But it's not just a library. They're actually going to have people write books. They're going to hire professors at SMU to be an expert on George Bush, meaning make sure that you write favorable stuff about Bush. Here, let me give you a quote from the story. Bush's institute will hire conservative scholars and give them money to write papers and books favorable to the president's policies, according to one Bush insider. So this is a way, $500 million of propaganda that they're going to do about how great Bush was as a president.
You know, and I recommend.
And they're going to collect that from Arab nations. I mean,
everybody,
the irony is so overwhelming. It's great.
Everybody should read Frank Rich's book, The Greatest Story Ever Sold, and it'll give you a little perspective on what that library is going to be like. I mean, it is just it is a giant propaganda machine, a great, successful propaganda machine, and the presidential library will clearly just be more of the same. What kind of professor takes money to write a thing favorable about the Bush administration? You know, I've been to a bunch of presidential libraries. They're great. And there are more that I still have to go to. I haven't been to Reagan's, even though it's nearby. I haven't been to Nixon's. I haven't been to George H.W. Bush's.
I see a pattern.
But one of the best ones I went to was Eisenhower's. Which
finally, but a little bipartisan. Okay.
Which is in Abilene, Kansas. I haven't been to Clinton's either.
Have you been to any presidential libraries, Ben?
I've not been to one. I'm really looking forward to going. I've been to Truman, I've been to Ike, and I've been to Carter, and that might be it. So I've been to 3. It's not that many. And I go to so you go to the Eisenhower Presidential Library, and it's great. You go to stuff. You go through a Central High School in Little Rock, and you see the sending in of the troops and so on. And then you go but that's all afterwards, because mainly what there is, it's a giant World War II library, huge World War II library. And then it essentially says, after leading as the Supreme Allied Commander during World War II, General Eisenhower retired to Washington to become President of the United States. I mean, it's like, it's an afterthought, the president stuff.
Right. Well, it's true. It wound up, obviously his role in World War II was a lot more relevant.